Hello and welcome to my live. I hope everybody's doing well. It's hump day, the middle of the week. So what I'd like to talk about today is the E-2, which I've done lots of different videos on. That's the investment visa. But I'd like to talk about the part that's very important about getting it approved, and it's called marginality, okay? So I'll talk about that for a while, and then I will answer all of your questions. So what you want to do is listen to my nice little spiel on the E-2 and marginality, and then after, stay tuned for the Q&A. So if you have questions, you can ask them now. I will get to it. You don't have to repeat it. I have some people who ask a question and literally repeat it every 3 minutes for 30 minutes. And then I have to scroll through it and go through it and remember I already answered it. So don't do that. I will get to it, although it'll take time. Okay? So E-2, marginality, that's the subject of today. All right. Well, I hope everybody's doing good today, and I hope you're ready for a nice little live. Okay, so what do we have? So the E-2 is the investment visa, and a lot of times people will come and try to do the E-2, and they'll get it denied, and they'll say, why was it denied? It was a good business idea. I was going to make, some money. Everything was going well. Why did they deny it? They put something about marginality. What does that mean? Okay. So this is going to sound kind of strange, but an E-2 will be denied if it's considered to be a marginal investment. Okay. Now, what does marginality mean? Bottom line, it means that you're only making enough money to survive. Okay, that's what it means. Now, we know the reality is that if you open up a business, number one, it's going to take a lot of money, and probably the majority of whatever extra money you have. And the only reason you open the business is to make money. But the E-2 says that's not enough. You cannot have the E-2 just to get by on living. It won't work. So if you have a business that's working, that you did the proper investment, that you have the proper corporate structure, that you've done everything you're supposed to do, but it only gives you enough money to pay the rent and put the food on the table, it won't work. Okay? You have to have an E-2 that makes more than that. Now, given I just said that, you don't have to have an E-2 that does more than that if you have other sources of income. So let's say, for example, that you're from the UK and you want to start some UK restaurant in the US that sells, some British pub, okay, that has great beer, okay, and everything's fine except you didn't put enough investments, just small and so forth. If you have, for example, income property in the UK, you can rent out your room, okay? You rent something out and you get, 800 pounds a month rent, okay? You can use that rent, that money, to show that the business, the British pub, is not there solely to give you money to live, because you're really getting your money, or the British pub is not there solely to give you money to live, because you're really getting your money, or a good portion of it, from income from rental property. Okay? So whenever I do need to, I see if they have alternative sources of income. And sometimes it's strange where I get it. Sometimes they're first and the income comes from their spouse, okay? Which is okay. it's okay to do that as long as you can show some verifiable source of other places the money's coming in other than just the business. Now, you don't have to do that, or you might not have the opportunity to do that. And if that's the case, then of course you need to show the business itself is not marginal, that it's making considerably more profits than would be required to put food on your table. How do you show that? Well, of course, tax returns, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, quarterly statements. And you show that you've reinvested a lot of the money. Okay? That's one of the biggest ways, reinvestments. So, if you again, I'll go back to the British pub. If you've made the British pub, and let's say you're making $200,000 a year, if you can show that you put $100,000 of that back into the restaurant, to get better seats and more kinds of liquor and whatever it is, then that looks great, and that goes against the argument that it's marginal. Also, employees. If you hire just family, that of course goes against the idea that it's marginal, meaning that if you have your wife, your husband, and your kids working for you and that's it, they're not going to believe it's really making enough money to generate what needs to be generated so that they can say it's not a marginal business. So if you have unrelated people, it doesn't mean, there's nothing wrong with hiring your family. But if you have unrelated people that will work for you, then that is better, okay? Maybe in addition to your family. And it's also better if you have employees versus independent contractors, because employees are more permanent. It makes the company look more real. You have independent contractors, you could say adios amigos tomorrow and there's no issue, no problem. That's what an independent contractor is. They come and go. So there's all kinds of factors that you have to show. Now, when you first submit the E-2, because I know some of you are saying, well, how am I supposed to show that I'm reinvesting the funds if I haven't even gotten the E-2 approved and haven't started the business yet? Good question. Excellent question. Well, in that particular case, you have to, when you submit the initial E-2, you have to submit a 5-year business plan. And it's comprehensive. I mean, when my firm puts out a 5-year business plan, we don't just put out 3 pages saying, this company's fantastic, it's going to make lots of money, sayonara, okay? The 5-year business plan has to show all kinds of stuff. But one of the big parts of the 5-year business plan is that it shows that the company is not marginal, okay? And the 5-year business plan is going to have graphs and charts and numbers and everything's going up, okay? It's going to show all the profits you're going to make. It's going to show the reinvestments you're going to do. It's going to show the employees you're going to hire. It's going to show their duties. It's going to have a proposed balance sheet. It's going to have all the investments that are going in. It's going to have proposed profits and everything that's going to happen, okay? So that's why you need a very detailed 5-year business plan. Now, I do have people who want to buy businesses that are already in operation, which is it's perfectly okay to do that for an E-2. Perfectly okay. What a lot of people do, however, is they decide to do that, and then they contact me for help. I say, well, okay, did you get the last 3 years of business statements and financials and profit and loss and bank statements and utilities and contracts and all this other stuff from the company to show that it's been in business, to show that it's not marginal, to help make your argument? I go, oh, I didn't know I had to do that. So keep in mind, if you're going to buy a company that's already in operation, the time to ask for all this stuff, which you're going to need and which is going to make approvability of the E-2 a lot easier, is before you give them the money and the deal goes through. After you give them the money and buy the business and come to me and I tell you everything we need, you know, they're not going to lift a finger to help you. Why should they? They've already been paid. They have nothing to gain from helping you, other than being a good Samaritan, which. So you have to include it as part of the business negotiations when you're buying a company that's already in operation, with the anticipation that by showing all of this stuff, that the company already exists, that they have good balance sheets, that they have several employees. You're also going to do a corporate structure, okay? A corporate chart, and they have programs these days that make it so easy to do that, and they make it so it looks really well. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. Then that'll make the approvability of the E-2 a lot easier, okay? So that, in essence, is what marginality is about, okay? It's not something you can just blow off, and say, well, I'll deal with it if it comes up. No. It is a critical, important part of an E-2 petition that needs to be addressed when the petition is submitted, period. It doesn't disappear either. When you do the renewal of the E-2, you likewise have to show it's not marginal. I'm not saying it's as difficult to get past it with a renewal since you already have the original approval, but it's still an issue. Okay, so don't think that just if you get the E-2, you can rest on your laurels and not really do anything. You have to maintain and keep the business going and make sure it is not marginal. Now, the reason I brought up the fact about alternative sources of income, such as, maybe other jobs in your home country or online sales or whatever, is because it makes the marginality issue so much easier. So if you're going to start your own business, and you already have a business, try to keep it going, okay? Or if you have rentals, try to keep the rentals going. Try to have and show that other source of income, because it makes life a lot easier when you're doing the E-2. Alrighty? So that's the spiel on the E-2 and marginality. All right. Let me scroll back here and see if we have any questions. And what I'll do is I'll answer each question as I get to it. If anybody wants to give me a rose or more hearts, thank you. Okay, let's see. So here's one. I have a removal order on asylum, VAWA case. Approved motion to reopen with BIA is pending. Am I safe from deportation? Okay. So first, thank you. Thank you for the rose. First, what you have to understand, what exactly is a motion to reopen? Okay. Oh, you say the motion to reopen with the BIA is pending. Okay. So first of all, you have to understand that getting a motion to reopen granted is very difficult. And if you have an asylum VAWA case, okay, I would need to see why it was denied, but those are not easy to get overturned. The bottom line with your answer is yes, you're safe from deportation right now. If you have timely filed an appeal to the BIA, which is the Board of Immigration Appeals, then you're safe from deportation. There's an automatic stay of deportation, okay? Given I said that, your ultimate goal should not be at this point just staying the deportation. It should be trying to win. So if you're doing this yourself, which you might be because otherwise your attorney would have told you that in 3 seconds that you're safe from deportation, you might want to retain an attorney to supplement the motion to reopen so that you have a much better chance of success. I can tell you with reasonable certainty that if you represented yourself on the asylum case and it was denied, and you're representing yourself with a motion to reopen, with reasonable certainty, there's a 99% chance it'll be denied. Okay? I'm not saying it won't be denied if you have an attorney. I mean, no attorney can guarantee that. But I will tell you, you will have a way better chance of success if you get an attorney to help you with it, okay? It's not something you want to play around with, especially if you have an accurate case. You could have been beaten to a pulp in your home country, and that might be why you think you qualify for VAWA, Violence Against Women Act asylum, but it might not meet the qualifications of asylum. You might meet the qualifications of something else. You might be fighting all this, and you might qualify for something else, okay? So if there was a time to retain an attorney, it would be now. Okay. And user 384083109110 just got the #1 gifter badge. I think you should change your name, though. Okay. Okay, we have a repeat question. Just a minute. All right, let's see. I'm scrolling through now just to see if we have any more questions. Any more questions that have not been repeated. Thank you for the hearts, everyone. The likes. I appreciate that. I do. So we have lots of people that joined. How are you doing today? I'm doing fine, thank you. Hope you're doing good too. It's the middle of the week. Wednesday's always good. It's sunny outside. It's a nice day. Okay. Some guys, Alibaba said immigration tidbit. That's what I do. I do immigration tidbits. Believe me, there's hundreds of thousands of them. Always an immigration tidbit. Okay, just a second. Oh, another user got the #2 gifter badge. Appreciate it. My gifter badges are going today to users that don't have usernames. Just user 34577579008. Okay, let's see. Okay, how much money is needed for the investment? For an E-2? Okay, well, that's a good question. And I give you a lawyer answer. There's no minimum or maximum, okay? Now let me give you the more realistic answer. Usually when I do an E-2, I want to have 50 to 100,000 US dollars, around, give or take, okay? It doesn't mean it can't be less, and obviously it doesn't mean it can't be more. But that's the typical, okay? 50,000 to 100,000 US dollars. Now your next question is, well, do I have to put all of that in investment? The answer is no. You can have some of it in the bank as capitalization to pay the company. You can have some of it to reinvest and so forth. But if your next question is, do I have to invest any of it really before the E-2? The answer is absolutely yes. And what does investment mean? It means it's at risk. Okay? If you could snap your fingers and get the money back tomorrow if the E-2 is denied, your E-2 will be denied because it's not at risk. It needs to be a real investment. Now let me tell you what an investment is not. It is not taking money from, your bank wherever you are, let's just say Argentina, and moving it to a bank in the US. Okay, I literally have people who open up a corporation, form a corporation in the US, open up a corporate bank account with their name on it, transfer $100,000 and say, okay, I've made $100,000 investment. Okay, minus the fact that's kind of humorous that they think that's investment. It's not. What do they have to do to get the money back? Well, they have to write themselves a check of $100,000 and they have their money back. They close the bank account. They transfer it back. Okay, that's not an investment. Investment is when, for example, you say, how much investment do you need? So I don't know what kind of business you want to open, but let's say you want to open a little restaurant. So you have to look at what the fair market value is. Forget about immigration for a minute. Look at what the fair market value is of a restaurant in your area, small restaurant. $200,000? Okay, whatever. If you say you bought that restaurant for $10,000, they're going to, number one, they're going to deny the E-2, and number two, they're going to say you didn't really buy it. It's from your dad who pretended to sell it to you and it's not really yours, okay? Or didn't really sell it to you on anything but paper, okay? Now, given that I just said your dad and you. It doesn't mean that your dad can't gift you $50,000 and you can use that for the investment. No problem with that. Doesn't mean you can't take a loan out and use that as an investment. I have people who start home health cares, okay, where you have to buy a home and then you get licensed and then you bring elderly people in there, take care of them during the day, and then they go back to their home. And they have a mortgage for the place, for $400,000 when they only put $30,000 down or whatever. That's fine. Okay, that's an investment. Doesn't matter that you didn't put every penny at the time because you owe all that money. That's part of the investment. Okay, so that's your answer. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you need to read about Islam. I'll explain many things y'all been struggling to figure out. Okay, well, that's not a question. It's a statement, but okay. Just a minute. It scrolled all the way down again. Isn't that funny? I sometimes I scroll and scroll, look for a question, and then it goes way to the bottom, then I scroll back up. So now I'm going backwards. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back where I was. Now let me go back down. Okay. What about the people that have CAT deferral? Can we be deported? Okay, well, CAT is Convention Against Torture. Okay? And the answer is, at the present time, if you've been granted that, you cannot be deported. I mean, the whole treaty with these other countries of which the U.S. is a part of is that we do not deport people to the home country that are going to be tortured. Now, why is it deferred? Well, things could change. Let's say that you were granted that, and that let's say next year the president changes in that country, it becomes democratic, and no longer is there a risk of you being tortured. Well, they could certainly make a motion. It won't be automatic. I mean, immigration won't come to your door and just take you, but immigration could make a motion to get back into court and to show why there is no more risk to you anymore and get that order reversed, and then you could be deported. So what I would do if I were you to be safe, you're safe now, but maybe temporarily. It just depends on your country. I don't know what country you're from. You ought to look for a way that you might be able to get the green card, okay? Hence, an immigration consultation with an attorney. Because even if the CAT deferral is forever, you have no green card. What you are is you're in limbo in the U.S., safe from deportation. And I don't think you like being in limbo. Nobody likes it. I mean, it's better than being deported, that's for sure. I mean, definitely that's for sure. But while you're in limbo, why not take the opportunity to find a way to get the green card? Okay, you might qualify. I need to find your education, and you might be able to do it through employment. You might be able to do it through other ways. Okay. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? So if you get out on bond, can you apply for a work permit? Well, that all depends. Okay, it all depends what you are applying for. I mean, obviously you're talking about immigration bond, and then immigration bond just means that the judge believes, number one, that you don't have to be mandatorily detained, and you're not a risk to society, and you're not a flight risk, and you'll appear at your next hearing. That's what that means. It doesn't mean you qualify or don't qualify for a work permit. That's completely separate. Let's say that you applied for asylum and you were detained. Let's say you came into the country, you applied for asylum, you were detained. Well, there's a law that with asylum that you can't apply for the work permit until 150 days, give or take, after the case starts, unless the clock is stopped. So in that particular case, whether you're obviously you can apply, but why would you want a work permit if you're detained, right? So let's say you got out on bond, and let's say there's still 100 days left before you qualify for the work permit. So in that particular case, you can't apply right then, but you can apply later. Let's say you qualify for adjustment, okay? You can get the work permit while you're qualifying for the adjustment right away. So it depends what you're qualifying for as to whether you can get the work permit or not. They're two separate things. I mean, it's great getting bonded out, but whether you could get a work permit or not is a different story. I need more facts. Okay? Well, thank you, Saeed. He says I'm the best and that I helped him with his case. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Always glad to help. Okay. Hello, sir. I have one DUI conviction, 2021, and your UVA is approved. Okay. I assume you're talking about U visa. I'm not 100% sure. You say Salem is pending. It's a deportable crime. Okay. I'm a little unclear with your terminology here. So I don't know what exactly is pending. Do you have another crime pending? And if the U visa is approved, I need to look at the statutory language of the DUI to see if you need a waiver. Because, there's people who get U visas approved, but ultimately they end up getting it denied at the end because they didn't do the waiver. So you might be inadmissible. So you need to make sure you do the waiver. I need to see what is pending. I don't understand what you mean, Salem. Okay? I think that's a misspelling. Okay? So clarify that for me and I'll answer. Okay, I have an I-130 petition from a U.S. citizen. Also, I have a removal from a denied asylum. Okay, so the I-130, you could have it approved. I have people who think because they have an approved I-130 that they're home free, and that's not the case. Okay, all that means, let's just pretend that you married a U.S. citizen, filed the I-130, and now you have it approved. That just means you proved the bona fide marriage, okay? It means that you proved that's a U.S. citizen, you're the foreign national, and you're married, okay? That's what that does. That's a good first step, but you need a lot more. So if you have a denied removal order, that means, number one, you can be removed from the U.S., okay? But number two, I need to see if you even qualify to adjust in the U.S. If you qualify to adjust, then we need to make a motion to reopen to immigration court for adjustment hearings based on the new I-130. If you don't qualify to adjust, then it's a matter of doing a permission to reapply, perhaps a waiver of inadmissibility. I don't know if you have any other grounds of inadmissibility. You might be able to do a provisional ground of inadmissibility and then do consulate processing. There's all kinds of paths that need to be done. The I-130 is just the beginning. I mean, it's a good beginning, but it's just the beginning. Okay. Okay, and this is a continuation of a prior question. What about people that have cat deferral? Can we be deported with the new administration? Well, Trump's going to try anything and everything, right? I mean, he'll try. I mean, theoretically, he could come in and say, anyone with cat deferral, no longer valid, has to be deported. Okay, and then obviously our immigration lawyers will go to work and fight that. I'm not saying that will happen. I mean, under the law, as the law exists, when one follows the law, one cannot be deported if they're under cat. Now, what if he pulls out of the treaty where, we're part of the treaty that does that? Well, to pull out of a treaty, you would likely need congressional approval, okay? This is the type of thing we have to take it day by day. And it's also the type of thing where when I told you need to look for other ways to try to get the green card, this is more reason why you need to look, okay? So let's pretend that after he gets in, he does something that makes it so that you become deportable. Number one, there's ways of fighting that. I mean, I can fight for people for years, okay, going through the court system. So it's a matter of fighting for whatever you have to fight so you can stay here and get the stay of deportation. But then on the other side of it, doing what you need to do to get the green card the real way, okay, not through CAT. I mean, because you can't get the green card through CAT, okay? Does that make sense? That's what you got to do. Don't just sit and wait, okay? Let's see. My U visa is approved. My asylum is pending. I have a DUI. Is it a deportable crime? Okay, well, that depends where you are. It depends, if you have more than one DUI. If your U visa is approved, you must know by now that it's many years before it will become current. If your asylum is pending, how long is it pending? And do you, is your interview coming up, and do you have a good asylum case? I certainly would not withdraw the asylum. If you have a DUI, generally, and don't, it's not deportable, but that does depend what jurisdiction you're on. And even if it is, there's ways, especially with the U visa, of getting a waiver of it. There's also ways of getting waivers through asylum, and waivers are easier to get through both asylum and the U visa. Okay, so don't just sit and wait for them to come to your door. Take care of it. Okay. All right. So Arm to Paul just got the #1 gifter badge. Thank you. All right. What about people that have? Oh, whoops. Oh, what? Wait. Thank you for all the likes. Let's see. And Diane just got the #3 gifter badge. Thank you, Diane. I have to scroll back here because, Money just got the #1 gifter badge. Okay. Thank you. I just got a gift. Everybody's so nice today. Okay. How about asylum-based work permit? Well, again, you need to wait the 150 days. Okay? And that's without the clock stopping. And if you're going to say, what does it mean when the clock stops? Give me an hour. Okay? All kinds of ways they stop the clock, and all kinds of cases on how they shouldn't, and all that. So, what you need to worry about is having a good asylum case. So if you need to supplement your asylum case, that needs to be done before the decision is made, so that you have a better chance of winning. The ultimate goal is I know right now you need and want a work permit, but the ultimate goal is to try to win the asylum case. Okay? And want a work permit, but the ultimate goal is to try to win the asylum case. Okay? And that, I don't know how I did that.
You had me by mistake. I see that.
Sorry. Have a good day. Sorry.
No problem.
I don't know how I press that. I've done that more than once. But I said hello to her anyways. Okay. It just shows you how easy it is to add people here. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions. Oh wait. Hello, can you get a green card interview based on asylum? Well, you don't really need the interview. I mean, if you get asylum, if you've won asylum, then you apply. I mean, I'm not saying that it'll always be waived, but if you've won asylum, then you apply for the green card 1 year later. You can adjust through USCIS, and then they may want to bring you in for an interview to make sure you're not inadmissible on anything else, and they can't go into the asylum part of it. But that's how you do it. Win asylum, wait a year, apply for adjustment. Okay, that's how you get the green card. How long is the asylum interview? Last in, first out. So if you just applied, it's about 6 months. If you applied 2 years ago, it's longer. That's how it is. Okay. Let's see. If you have a pending asylum case, should you be worried? Absolutely. I mean, I hate to be negative here, but anyone who's not a U.S. citizen needs to be worried. Okay. But given that, know that we're going to fight tooth and nail for 4 years. I mean, he's going to come into office and he's going to sign, 20 different things, and he's going to think it's all going to go through. But of the 20 things he signs, there's probably going to be 300 lawsuits that are going to started from that. And it's going to take a long time for all those lawsuits to go through. So of those 20 things, maybe one thing will actually go through. That's just how it is. Okay. So, if you have a pending asylum case, just make sure it's a good pending asylum case. If you did it yourself, make sure you get an attorney to supplement it and make it better. And if you do qualify for other stuff, apply, get them going. It's like 2 horses going around the track. The first one to the end wins. Okay? Alrighty. Wait, what am I doing? How does it do? I don't know. Okay. Anyways, it looks like I was trying to adjust the lighting on my thing here. Okay. I think I've answered all the questions for today. Let me just make sure. If I didn't, sorry. Some guy just put, Karma, you put suspension and deportation. I don't know if you have suspension, deportation, or question on it, but there's no question there, so you need to let me know. Do you think Ukrainians will get regular residence or permanent residence? Well, that's the same thing. Right now, they can get paroled in, and there's ways of doing that. As far as residence, it's a whole different story. And when Trump comes in, who knows? Okay, keep your fingers crossed. Okay, all right. I think that's it. So I hope everybody has enjoyed the live. We'll be back soon. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Okay? All right, have a good day.